So when I was sent ink to review, well, look, firstly, I wanted to review it, but secondly, I was in two minds, and maybe I'm trying to get out of my biases here. Now, my bias is that I don't do abstract games. I like theme. Theme is so important to me. If anything, it's the most important thing to me when I'm picking out games. Now, I went through my collection before and I've got Color Crazy, I've got, what do we got? Project L, and I had Abstract Academy. 3 abstract games, 2 of them based around colors. I guess Project L is also sort of based around colors. Yeah, out of all the games in my collection, I just couldn't find anything else. It's not something I'm attracted to. It's not something that I go out and buy. It's not something that I want to recommend to people. But I wanted to review ink, and there's a very good reason for that. Welcome to the Abstract Strategy game Ink. Now this game is pretty simple. At its heart, all we're doing is collecting tiles from around the rondel, putting them in our playing area, growing out certain patches of colours, then trying to achieve objectives. But really the main thing we're trying to do is trying to clear out all of our inkwells from over here in our play area, put them either played out in here or out of the game completely. The first person to get rid of their 24 inkwells wins the game. I'm going to be playing as red, and I can go around the rondel clockwise as far as I want until I want to stop and collect that tile. So I'm going to say I'm going to stop there and I'm going to grab that tile. Now let's see, I can put it anywhere I want. As long as one side is hitting another side, we are good to go. I just couldn't do that, but I can do pretty much anything else. Well, I'm going to stop right there because I've actually already achieved something pretty simple. I've got here, on the blue here, I've got the number 3. And because I have 3 matching blue areas, I've actually achieved that objective. Great. Now we're going to go over to our inkwells here, and we got 2 lots of 12 inkwells. One on our starting palette and one just off to the side. The inkwells on the starting palette means only if I achieve objectives with the blue or orange for this palette, then I can use these inkwells. Any other color, I can use these ones. So obviously these are going to be a lot harder for me to put out on the playing board. But because I've achieved blue, I can certainly do that. First thing you're going to do is you're going to place that one inkwell upside down on that objective you just achieved. So I achieved the 3 there. Next up, if there's any white dots, I can also cover up one of those there. So there we go. I've achieved my first thing. That was nice and easy, wasn't it? Super easy. Now let's just pretend all these other players have moved around and they took their tiles and they were playing. But right now, all you care about is this guy right here, because we're going to show you the next couple of moves. So what we would have done is we would have refilled that, because as you go around, you just keep refilling it. Pretty simple stuff. The only thing you need to know here is as I go around, I can keep going as far as I want. But as soon as you pass this X right here, it means you have to pull out one of these X tiles. And this X tile means I have to place it on, because this is a yellow X, means I must cover up a yellow if I have it. So I'd place it like that, which means unfortunately those would be out of the game. So that's how the X part works. But for now, let's just get rid of that. Let's just pretend, whatever. Let's just pretend I fast forwarded and let's see, I've got a whole bunch of tiles here, and let's say I've put these tiles out here. Let's go with that one there, that one there, that one there, and look, let's pretend I've done a few turns and that's what I've got in front of me. Now I'm looking here at this orange section right here. Now you're going to notice there's a number 5 there and there's also a number 6. But because I have 5 here, I can achieve the 5 objective, but obviously because I don't have 6, I can't achieve the 6 objective. So you have a choice. Do you wait one more turn and try and achieve the 6 objective? Because obviously 6 is better than 5. We all know that. That's numbers. But for us, well, look, we're going to be happy with the number 5. Remember, we go over to our palette. Because it's an orange and the orange is on my palette, I can use these inkwells, which is exactly what I'll do. I'll turn this one upside down, put it over the 5 to say I've achieved the 5. And then remember, any white dots that are still remaining, I can cover. Now, the 6 isn't a white dot. That's an objective, so I can't cover that one up. But for now, that's what I've done. That's what I've achieved, and I'm kind of happy. But I'm not fully happy because I have an objective to go, and that's going to make me really happy. Now, this objective for number 5 says I can remove 1 ink bottle. Awesome. So I'm going to actually remove that ink bottle. Remember, the purpose is we're just trying to get rid of these 24 ink bottles. First person to do that wins the game, basically. So for now, I've done that. I've achieved my objective, which is number 5, which is remove an ink bottle, which means on my next turn, let's say I've got this tile comes out and all of a sudden, bingo, now I can now achieve the 6th objective because any of these that don't have inkwells on them, they're back in play. I can achieve another objective. And again, I did the exact same thing. I'd cover up the 6, and then from there, any white dots I would cover up in that area. Excellent, I'm starting to get through with these. Then I would look at number 6 and it says move up to 2 ink bottles. Excellent, well I can either move them around here, which is great. On my painting I can move them, but I could also move them here from my palette over to here. Now remember, the purpose of doing that is these have no restrictions. I can put them on any color, whereas these ones on my palette are restricted to those 2 colors. So that's pretty much the purpose. Just run it through, get rid of those 24. If you go past 24, that's where these black inkwells come into play. And before I turn off the camera, I really feel like I didn't explain the black inkwell concept enough. Even I was confused by what I was saying. Look, the purpose is when we've achieved all of our 24 inkwells out of the game, that stops the game. But the thing is, everyone needs an equal amount of turns to finish the game to make it fair. So what happens is, as you're putting it out on your final turn, let's say I put out my 24th inkwell out and I've still got some white dots left over. Well, that's where you're going to grab some of these black inkwells and you'll fill up those remaining white dots. Then from there, everyone goes around, gets their final turn. What if they put out all their 24 inkwells on their final turn? Then it's whoever has the most black inkwells wins the game. Fully explained now. Everyone can sleep peacefully tonight. I think I need to start appreciating mechanics more, and especially considering my channel is going more and more towards family games, then this was one of those games that would be just perfect for that particular audience. Because at the end of the day, I played it with my family and my family really loved it. The kids loved it, and that's all that matters to me. I also enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's the world's greatest game, but the fact is the family really enjoyed it. It was a simple game, and the fact that there wasn't too much for the kids to really, get blown away and get complicated by, then that made it perfect for that. And maybe you're that right audience, and maybe, that's why these sort of games need to be reviewed on this channel, because, there's a lot of people out there with different circumstances, and certain games are going to be perfect for them. But if you're like me and you're an absolute theme junkie, you don't care what it is, it could be a weasel going snowboarding, as long as there's some sort of theme and you can actually see the mechanics tied to that theme, then you're in. You're in like Flynn. Whereas anything abstract, just nah. Now, Project L, this is one of my partner's favorite games. She absolutely adores this game. This would be probably in the top 5. But for me, it's cool. I like it. But each time I play it, I go, imagine if this had a theme on top. Look, it's a bias I have, and it's something that I think it's worth talking about. Now, I'm really starting to think about just pulling out of doing reviews. I sit back and look at the bigger picture. I'm just a guy with a particular taste, and I don't know if I'm really a believer now in, me trying to sell to you how passionate I am about a game. I think at the end of the day, you will know if you like a game or not. I don't think it really matters what my opinion is. But I think the reason why I still want to talk about a few of these games is because, this isn't for me. This game is for my family. And I remember growing up, I remember playing games like Monopoly, Scrabble, Yahtzee, and I remember having those moments, especially with my dad, and every now and then we'd get my mum to come over and play, and that was special moments as I was growing up. They're happy moments. And I want my children to have those exact same feelings, those exact same memories of, board game nights, sitting around, dad being an absolute goose and having fun. And they're the sort of memories I want to create. And that's why this game is good, because it's good for families. This isn't my sort of game. Abstract games aren't my sort of game. Themeless games aren't my sort of game. So this really is from a lens from, a family sitting down with children just enjoying it and my partner enjoying it. Everyone just around the table just having fun. It's not complex. It's easy for everyone to pick up. And that in itself is probably, I guess, the first pro. The next pro I want to talk about is these components here. Like, for retail games, this is getting through the roof, these components, how beautiful they are. Now, these ink wells come in the 4 different colors, and I would say that the red and orange are extremely similar. So, look, I'm not sure how color blindness works, but maybe that's a consideration there. The other thing is, one of the kids brought this up, said they look like nail polish. You know what? I was saying before, there's no theme in this game. What about if we had turned this into a nail polish game? And then all of a sudden we had theme based around nail polish. That would have been sweet. Any theme's better than no theme in my book. Anyway, I digress. Look, components are beautiful. The actual just mechanics are just super simple, easy to pick up, easy to teach. But probably one of the nicest aspects is all of these different objectives. Now, you play with 4 in a round, but there's heaps of them in there. I'm not sure, I think there's like 16 or so in here. There's a bunch of them. And depending on which ones you pick up, some of them have some cool extra features. Like this one lets you put out colored tiles that you can recolor other tiles, which is awesome. By the way, I'm a baggy guy if you hadn't guessed. This one puts out extra white dots. This one puts out a whole bunch of different objective numbers, which is great. It means you get to play with all of the different objectives. Just a lot of replayability built into the game through that. And if it didn't have that, if this was just the core game without all those objectives, replayability there, I think it'd be bland. But that really adds to it and definitely makes it a much better game. So yeah, look, overall, the family really enjoyed it. Look, I had fun. Again, is this a game that's for me? No, and I think I've mentioned that quite a few times. And I guess going into the negatives, that really is the negative. The negative is I've got so many biases. Like I love, woodland critter games. I could rattle off like 50 themes off the top of my head that I would love to play right now on this table. And then, an abstract game is certainly not one of those 50, nor one of those 100. It's just something for me where I need something to grasp onto, and that's a me thing. And yeah, so anyway, it's just a simple, good game that the family will really enjoy. And if you don't have many games in your collection and you've got old Bertha down the road who pops in every now and then for a cheeky gin or something, and you want to play a game with her, brilliant. What if you have old Granny? Granny comes over. Granny's still good enough. Granny can move the inkwells around. What about that? If you have children, again, perfect. So many people this would be a great game for, and I think it's really worthwhile at least introducing it to you. Look, it may be for you, it may not be for you, but anyway, that's ink. Anyway, that's all I've got. I'm Hogs. This is the Bangs Project. This is ink. Till next time, laters.